after everything I survived, the storm would finally slow down. I thought the prayers, the tears, the waiting had already been enough. But just when I thought it was over, the fire got hotter. I came out the valley bruised and worn, thought peace was finally being born. After all the nights I barely survived, I thought the storm had passed me by. But another wave came crashing down, another trial came back around. And I asked you, Lord, with trembling breath, why more fire after all that's left? Thought I was done with the testing season, but heaven still had deeper reasons.
Just when I thought it was over,
the fire got hotter again.
just when I started healing,
Another storm rolled in. But maybe the deeper pressure is making something stronger within. And maybe this next battle is where real faith begins. Peter walked though he felt the fear. Paul kept preaching through every tear. Job survived what should have destroyed, yet heaven still refined his soul. Gold don't shine till it meets the flame, and olive oil comes through crushing pain. So maybe this pressure I'm standing in ain't punishment, but discipline. Oh,
just when I thought it was over,
you allowed another test,
not to take me under,
but to pull more from my chest. There's something being formed in me that comfort could never give. And through this deeper fire, you're teaching my soul to live. I used to think every new trial meant I was failing. But what if the deeper fire means God trusts what He already placed inside you? Soldiers don't stay in basic training forever, and spiritual strength don't come from avoiding battles. It comes from surviving them with your faith still alive. Maybe this season isn't proof God abandoned me. Maybe it's proof He's preparing me. Fire reveals what can't remain, burns the fear and kills the chains. Every test pulls something through till what is left looks more like you. You don't stop halfway through. Everything you build stays true. And what this fire is producing now will carry eternal value somehow. Just when I thought it was over, you took me even deeper still. But destroy your plan, because what heaven is building will forever stand. The fire got hotter because the calling was greater.
God has a way of touching the very place life wounded the deepest. And somehow, the place that once carried the most pain becomes the place carrying the most strength. That's not human nature. That's divine healing.
There was a room inside my soul I kept locked up, hidden cold. Every scar still whispered shame. Every memory called my name. Tried to bury all the ache, smile through what I couldn't face, but pain kept knocking at the wall, till surrender broke it all. And right there where the wound ran deep, your mercy started healing me. Now I'm stronger where it hurt most. Grace grew where the pain once rose. What used to break me from inside now testifies you kept me alive. You turned my scars into wisdom, turned my weakness into gold. Now the very place I suffered carries strength within my soul. Jacob limped but carried blessing. Paul had thorns yet kept confessing. Jesus bore the nails and shame, still brought healing through the pain. So I stopped asking, why me, Lord? And started asking, what's this for? And through every crushing season, you were building deeper meaning. Now I'm stronger where it hurt most, not because the pain was small, but because your hand stayed faithful through the hardest parts of all. Yeah. I spent years trying to hide the broken places. I thought weakness disqualified me, but God kept bringing me back to the wound, not to shame me, but to heal me completely. And one day I realized the places I cried the most became the places I understood people the deepest. The pain made me softer,
wiser, more dependent on God.
And now, what once almost destroyed me has become part of my testimony. Nothing wasted, nothing lost. Even suffering had a cost. Every tear became a seed, growing strength inside of me. You don't heal the way men do. You restore and make things new. And what the enemy meant for harm now reveals your mighty arm. Hey, now I'm stronger where it hurt most. There's a peace I never knew. Not because I skipped the fire, but because you brought me through. Ah, this joy runs deeper now than temporary happiness. It's eternal, rooted strong in the work your hands have blessed.
The wound didn't disappear, but God filled it with strength. When you're inside the fire, it feels like everything is falling apart. But fire has two purposes. One destroys what is temporary. The other reveals what is eternal. And looking back now, I realize the fire didn't ruin me. It refined me.
There were moments in the flame I barely recognized my name. Everything familiar changed. Nothing felt the same. But slowly through the smoke and heat, something stronger stood beneath. Not the man I used to be, but who you were shaping in me. What survived the deepest pain was the part heaven wanted to remain. I was refined, not ruined. The fire made the gold appear. Every trial stripped away what was never meant to stay here. Now there's peace inside my soul that this world could never build. And the deeper work you started through the fire still lives. Job came through with clear eyes. David learned through lonely nights. Joseph carried wisdom scars, all refined by where they are. Even Jesus bore the cross, pain before the final glory. And every life you truly use gets refined before the victory. I was refined, not destroyed. pressure cut me deep. You were building something eternal, hidden under me. Every loss became a lesson, every tear became release. Now the fire that once terrified me has become part of my peace. I spend so much time asking God to remove the fire, but now I understand some things only grow under pressure. Some prayers only become honest after disappointment. Some faith only becomes real after it survives suffering. And some people only discover who they truly are in God after everything false burns away. The fire hurt, but it revealed something eternal inside me. I'm not ruined, I'm refined.
Burn away,
What cannot last,
burn away.
what cannot last,
Build a faith
that holds on fast. Not emotional, weak or shallow, whoa, but rooted deep enough to follow. You complete what you begin.
You begin
Shape the soul from deep within.
deep within.
And every trial that stretched my life produced eternal things inside. I was refined,
Not ruined.
now I finally understand. The fire wasn't there to end me, it was forming who I am. And this joy I carry now was born beyond temporary things. It's the fruit of all the battles that taught my soul to cling. The fire took many things, but it left behind what was real.
The battle changed me. It wounded me, humbled me, exposed me. But one thing it could not do was separate me from God. Because when faith is built by heaven, even war can't destroy it. There were nights I lost my peace, fought battles underneath the surface deep. Questions circled through my soul, trying hard to steal control. Some days faith felt paper thin, barely holding strength within. But underneath the weakest sound, your foundation still held ground. The winds blew hard against my life, but truth survived the darkest nights. The battle didn't kill my faith, didn't take the fire away. Though the war shook everything, your word remained the same.
would never let me break. Now I know real faith survives, even after war and pain. Daniel prayed through lion's breath. Hebrew boys stood close to death. Paul kept preaching through the chains. None of them escaped the flames, but every trial revealed something deeper. Faith grows stronger through the pressure, not because the suffering's small, but because God outlasts it all. The battle didn't kill my faith, though I cried and questioned why. There was something heaven planted that refused to fully die. Every scar became a witness. Every valley changed my view. Now I trust you even deeper than I ever used to do. I used to admire strong faith from a distance, but now I understand. Strong faith is usually born in hidden wars.
Nobody sees the nights.
You almost gave up.
Nobody hears the conversation.
Nobody hears the conversations between fear and truth
Inside your head.
inside your head.
But every time I chose
To hold on to God,
even weakly,
something eternal kept forming in me. Because real faith ain't proven before the battle. It's revealed after it survives one. You were building deeper roots through the storms I stumbled through, and every fire I survived pulled eternity inside. Now my soul don't shake the same, not because life stopped bringing pain, but because your hand stayed near and taught my spirit perseverance here. The battle didn't kill my faith. Now I stand with clear eyes. Everything that tried to end me only pushed me toward the light. And this joy inside my spirit wasn't born through easy days. It was forged through tears and battles that could not erase my faith. The war was real, but so was God, and that made all the difference. The battle changed me. Temptation don't always come looking evil. Sometimes it comes looking like relief, like an easier road, a quicker answer, a softer compromise. And the hardest battles are the ones nobody sees. Late night pressure on my mind, voices are whispering all the time. Take the shortcut, ease the pain. Nobody gotta know your name. Weak and tired, worn down deep, fighting battles I couldn't speak. Every wound became a door, temptation knocking more and more. But somewhere underneath the fear, your quiet voice was still so clear. I was tempted, but I didn't let go. Almost drifted in the undertow. There were nights my soul felt weak, but your grace kept holding me. I didn't win because I'm strong, I survived because you held on. And every time I almost fell, mercy caught me before I fell. Even Jesus in the wilderness felt the weight of temptation press. Hungry, lonely, physically worn, yet stood on every word you spoke. Joseph ran though desire burned. Some victories come when you turn. Not every battle's won by fight. Sometimes obedience means goodbye. I was tempted, but I didn't break, though the pressure made my whole soul shake. Every lie that called my name couldn't pull me from your grace. Nobody talks enough about how exhausting temptation can be, especially when you're already wounded. Because temptation gets louder when you're tired, lonely, disappointed. And I realized the enemy wasn't just trying to make me sin, he was trying to disconnect me from who God was making me into. But every time I resisted, even trembling, something eternal grew stronger inside me. Because character is built in hidden battles. There's a war behind the eyes, truth against the ancient lies. But every time I choose your way, another chain falls off in flames. Not perfection, not my pride, just your spirit deep inside, teaching weakness how to stand, till holiness becomes the man. I was tempted, but I still remain, not untouched, but deeply changed. Every battle, every scar pulled me closer to your heart. Now I know what grace can do. It can carry broken people through, and the strength I found below was born the day I didn't let go. The battle was hidden, but the victory was eternal.
hardest battles ain't always the ones outside of you. Sometimes the battlefield is your own mind, fighting fear, fighting memories, fighting thoughts you never wanted to think. Smiling in front of people while falling apart inside. That's a different kind of war. Couldn't sleep, mind racing fast, reliving wounds from my past. Every failure, every scar felt louder in the dark. Fear kept knocking at my door, telling me I won't endure. Thoughts so heavy, hard to breathe, like something was hunting me. But your word kept calling through the noise, like a whisper stronger than the voice. There's a war in my mind, but I'm not fighting alone. Every lie tries to rise, but your truth pulls me home. When fear tells me I won't survive, the Spirit speaks louder inside. And though the battle shakes my soul, your peace still holds control. Enemy try to weaponize every weakness in my life, turn my pain into a chain, turn my waiting into shame. But David strengthened himself in you when nobody else could pull him through. And Paul said, take each thought captive. So I learned how to fight different. There's a war in my mind, but your promises remain. Even when emotions crash, truth stands through the rain. Not every thought belongs to me, not every voice speaks destiny. And what you planted deep inside will outlive every lie. I used to think, because the thoughts were loud, they must be true. But I learned something in the pressure. The mind can become a battlefield without becoming your identity. Just because fear speaks doesn't mean I belong to fear. Just because doubt knocks doesn't mean faith left the room. And every time I chose to believe God's word over what my emotions screamed, another piece of my mind started becoming free. This war is real, but so is His peace. Pulling down every stronghold, every lie that's grown
grace keeps catching when I fall. Oh, you never promised easy days, but you promised strength for every phase. And through this fight inside my head, your spirit teaches me to stand. There's a war in my mind, but I'm stronger than before. Not because the battle vanished, but I know what I'm fighting for. And your peace is growing deeper than the chaos I can feel. Now I know the deepest healing starts when truth becomes more real.
The battle in my mind didn't end overnight,
but little by little, truth became louder than fear.
Sometimes the hardest thing ain't the suffering, it's the waiting. Watching time move while your prayer seems frozen. Wondering if heaven remembered your name while everybody else moves forward. But delay does not mean abandonment.
Another year came and went away, still standing here in the same old place. Prayers I prayed still hanging high, questions buried deep inside. Watch some doors just slowly close, watch some people come and go. Tried to understand your hand, but timing ain't for mortal man. Every clock said too late, but faith kept telling me to wait. I've been delayed, but not forgotten, still held in the hands of God. Though the answer takes longer, your promise still stands strong. You see the end from the beginning, nothing catches you by surprise. And what feels late to my heart was always right on time. Abraham waited for the sun, Joseph suffered before he won. David wandered years unseen before he ever touched the throne. Even Lazarus stayed in the grave till everybody lost their faith. But you arrived when hope was gone and proved your timing all along. I've been delayed, but not abandoned. There's purpose in the waiting room. Every silent stretching season is preparing something new.
waiting exposed things in me I didn't know were there. Impatience, fear, disappointment. Sometimes I wanted the promise more than I wanted God Himself. And in the delay, He purified my motives. Because God doesn't just prepare blessings, He prepares people. And if the blessing arrives before the character is ready, what was meant to help you can destroy you. So maybe this waiting isn't punishment. Maybe it's mercy. You work deeper than what I see. Eternity moves differently. What feels slowed down here to me is perfect in your sovereignty. And every tear the waiting made was watering roots beneath my faith to something stronger could arise. A joy no season could divide. I've been delayed but not forgotten. Now I understand the cost. You were building something in me that this world could never exhaust. And when the promise finally blooms, it won't just fade away with time, because what your hands establish carries eternity inside. He wasn't ignoring me. He was preparing me for something that would last. Sometimes. There were seasons where the pressure got so heavy, even I thought I might quit. The enemy watched the losses, the delay, the loneliness, and assumed my faith would finally collapse. But what he didn't know was that God was building endurance in secret. It's so hard I could barely stand. Life kept slipping through my hands. Every prayer felt worn and thin, like the storm would never end. People faded, doors closed tight. Some days turned into sleepless nights. And the voice inside my pain said, you ain't gonna make it through this rain. But something deeper kept surviving. Even when my soul stopped striving, the enemy thought I quit, thought the fire would finally win, thought the pressure was too much for my faith to keep holding up. But every blow that should have broke me only drove my roots down deeper. Now I'm standing stronger spiritually
'cause the trial made me a believer. Peter sank, but he rose again. Paul got beaten, but still preached then. Job lost everything in sight, still refused to curse the light. Hell thought prison silence praise, till songs broke chains in midnight caves. And what looked like defeat at first became the place your power burns. The enemy thought I'd quit, thought despair would make me drift, but he underestimated what your grace can do with weakness. Every scar became a lesson, every tear became resistance. Now the very thing that hurt me built spiritual persistence. The enemy studies patterns. He watches where you bleed, where you get tired, where disappointment sits the longest. And he thought if he applied enough pressure, eventually I would let go of God. But suffering taught me something powerful. There's a kind of faith that only exists after everything else gets stripped away. A faith that don't depend on feelings, success, comfort, or applause. Just truth, just God. And that kind of faith terrifies darkness. Pressure built what ease never could. Pain produced eternal good. Now my spirit stands more still, even when life tests my will. You were forging something deeper, not a temporary believer, but a soul that learned to stand, even in the fire's hand. The enemy thought I quit, but I'm still standing here in faith.
I'm still standing here in faith.
Not because the road got easier,
But because your grace sustained.
but because your grace sustained. And now the storm that tried to break me
Became the proof I'm still alive.
became the proof I'm still alive. What was meant to destroy my calling only taught my faith to fight. He thought the pressure would make me abandon God, but instead it pushed me closer. It pushed me closer. Before the pressure, I prayed safe prayers, surface prayers, comfortable prayers. But pain has a way of pulling honesty out of your soul, and somewhere in the fire, my prayers stopped sounding religious and started becoming real. Used to pray with polished words, saying things I thought you heard. But when the nights got cold and long, only truth could reach beyond. No more hiding how I felt, no more strength left in myself. Just broken whispers in the dark, begging heaven guard my heart. And somehow through the deepest pain, my voice and faith began to change. Pressure made me pray different, made me seek you from the soul. Not for blessings, not for comfort, but because I needed hope. Every tear became a language, every scar became a cry. Now my prayers carry surrender, not just words I learned in life. Jacob wrestled through the night, wouldn't leave till he touched the light. Hannah wept till heaven heard. Pain gave power to every word. Even Jesus in Gethsemane prayed through crushing agony. Not my will, but yours be done. That's the prayer the fire becomes. Pressure made me pray deeper, made me desperate for your voice. And through every painful season, I kept learning how to trust. Not religion, not performance, not pretend spirituality, but a broken heart discovering how dependent faith can be. The pressure stripped away who I pretended to be. And honestly, some of my deepest prayers didn't even sound spiritual. Just tears, silence, confusion, weakness. But that's when I learned something beautiful. God listens deeper than words. He hears the cry beneath the sentence. And sometimes the prayers that change you the most are the ones prayed when you've got nothing left to impress anybody. Oh, pressure pulled my roots down deep, till faith became what I believe. Not inherited, not rehearsed, no, but born again through pain and thirst. You weren't building temporary sound, you were forming holy ground. And every prayer through suffering brought eternity within. Pressure made me pray different. Now my heart has finally learned the deepest faith is often formed where the hardest fires burn. And this joy that grows within me ain't emotional or weak. It's the fruit of walking closely with the God who carried me. The pressure changed my prayers, and my prayers changed me.
were moments I honestly didn't think I'd make it through. Too much pressure, too much loss, too many nights fighting battles nobody saw. And if I'm still standing today, it's not because I was strong enough. It's because God kept me. Some nights I barely held on, smile outside while hurt went on. People saw the outside frame, but never knew the hidden pain. There were days I almost quit, almost let the darkness win, but somehow grace kept pulling me back toward hope repeatedly. I can't explain the way I survived, except heaven stayed close by my side. I'm still here, and that's God, still breathing after everything I lost, still believing after all the storms, still standing though my heart was worn. I should have broke beneath the weight, should have drowned it all, that pain, but mercy carried me this far. I'm still here, and that's God. David cried till strength was gone, yet heaven helped him carry on. Elijah sat beneath despair, still found your whisper waiting there. Paul kept singing through the chains, Job kept trusting through the pain, and every story taught me this: grace survives what pressure hits. I'm still here, and that's grace, still alive through every shaking place, not untouched, not without scars, but preserved by who you are. Oh, I used to think survival meant escaping pain, but survival in Christ means the pain didn't take your faith. And looking back now, I realize there were moments God carried me when I didn't even have strength to pray. Sometimes all I could do was breathe and hold on, and somehow that was enough for grace to keep working. Because when God puts his hand on a life, even the fire has boundaries. Every storm that tried to end me only proved your hand was steady. Every valley, every scar revealed how close you really are. Now I know what mercy means, not perfection, but being kept through everything. And what you started long ago will survive every wind that blows. I'm still here, and that's God.
Not my wisdom,
Not my heart,
but a love
that wouldn't leave me survive things I never thought I would. And if I'm still standing, all glory belongs to God.